All rise. The United States District Court for the Eastern Division of the Eastern District of Missouri is now in session. All those having business before the court, draw near and you shall be heard. God save the United States and this honorable court. The Honorable Patricia L. Cohen presiding. And I'd like to introduce the courthouse singers. They are here to sing America the Beautiful.
Please feel free to sing along at any point.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Good morning. We're very lucky today to have a wonderful speaker. He is Mr. Yinka Folletti, and he is the executive director of Forward Through Ferguson, which is a nonprofit which is intended to assist with racial equality in our area. Mr. Folletti has a very remarkable story, which I've been privileged to hear before, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. But just to give you a little bit about his background, prior to this particular job he's in now, he was a senior vice president at United Way of Greater St. Louis. He was a lawyer at Bryan Cave, which is one of the largest law firms in the world at this point. And he is a graduate of West Point and a former U.S. officer, military officer in the U.S. Army. So I'm really excited to have him here for you this morning, and I hope you'll very much enjoy his remarks. Mr. Folletti.
Thank you, Judge Cohen, for that introduction. Wasn't that a great rendition of America the Beautiful? I wish I could sing like them. To Judge Cohen, distinguished guests, and you, the newest citizens to be of the United States of America, congratulations. What a momentous occasion, what a memorable day for you, what an honor for me. I am deeply honored to have been asked to share in your joy this morning. I am overjoyed for you and for your family members and friends here with you. I'm in awe of what is represented in this auditorium today. In this space, so many regions of the world are present. there are people here from Indonesia, India, Iraq, Vietnam, Serbia, Taiwan, Burma, Kenya, Somalia, China, Jordan, Liberia, Denmark, Ghana, Mexico, Turkey, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Pakistan, Ukraine, Belarus, Zimbabwe, Trinidad and Tobago, Philippines, Brazil, Bangladesh, Albania, Russia, Cameroon, Greece, Iran, Canada, Liberia, Syria, Ecuador, United Kingdom, Thailand, South Africa, Ethiopia, Cambodia, Jordan, Honduras, South Korea, Venezuela, and Poland, Germany, Bhutan, Dominican Republic, Sudan, Uzbekistan, Tanzania, Algeria, Dominica, Laos, New Zealand, Uganda, Senegal, Togo, Chile, Israel, Spain, Hungary, Japan, Haiti, Colombia, Mali, Nicaragua, Lebanon, Nepal, Egypt, Jamaica, and Belgium. That is truly, truly awe-inspiring. Your reasons for coming to this country are as varied as the regions of the world that you're from. Some of you have come for a better life, some for educational opportunities, others for job opportunities. Some of you have come because you were coming to escape oppression or persecution in your country or civil strife in your native country. Some of you have come because you had family members here already and you're coming to reunite and join with them. No matter why you came, the what you've experienced here has likely been similar for all of you. Many of you have had to learn a new language. If you didn't already speak English, all of you had to undergo the rigorous legal and time-consuming requirements of citizenship prescribed by the U.S. Immigration and Citizenship Services. Lots and lots of paperwork, years of waiting and patience, in many cases some heartache and a lot of money. Many of you, especially those of you who have lived in St. Louis for some time, have had to endure things that are equally as trying. Some of you may have been asked by St. Louisan what high school you went to. How many of you have been asked that before? Yeah, I see lots of hands. Many of you have had to come up with a nickname because people here can't say your name. How many of you have had to do that? Yeah, I see lots of hands. And even then, some of you, when introducing yourself to people, always have to repeat your name because they can't pronounce it. I remember how I used to introduce myself and how I had to change how I introduced myself because people didn't even know it was my name that I was saying when I was introducing myself. So my first name is Adeyinka, but people couldn't say it, so I had to go by my nickname of Yinka. So this is how I used to introduce myself. The other person would stretch out their hand to shake mine and say something like, "Hi, Tom." And I would stretch out my hand and reply, "Yinka." And they'd look at me with a puzzled look, bow, and say, "Yinka to you too." And so I've since changed how I introduce myself. Now what I do, when the other person says, "Hi, Tom," I'll say, "Hi, my name is Yinka." Then they'll understand that that's my name, and then they'll ask me whether I have a shorter nickname. It's Yinka, 2 syllables. And then there are those American colloquialisms that, unless you were born here, just don't make any sense. Maybe you've heard someone say they're under the weather to describe that they're not feeling well. Why don't they just say they're not feeling well? Or maybe you've heard someone say it's raining cats and dogs. And when you get to understanding what they're saying, you wonder why they didn't simply say it's raining heavily. Perhaps you've heard someone say, "I'd like to pick your brain." Wouldn't it make more sense for them to simply say, "I'd like to ask you a few questions"? In essence, you've had to adjust to a new culture, learn a new way of speaking, a new way of being, while still trying to maintain your sense of heritage and all that was familiar to you in your native land. By show of hands, how many of you have had difficulty in this region finding foods, grains, or spices from your native land? I see a few. Oh, okay. I see you waving. So you've all had to experience these cultural differences. Like you, I am an immigrant to this country. Some of you will be able to identify with my story. My father got a visa from Nigeria in the 70s. Now, many of you already know that getting a visa to come to the US is like winning the lottery. In fact, many countries actually have a lottery system. So when one gets a visa, one has to go. And so it was for that reason that my father left my mother and I in Nigeria after he got a visa and sent for us later. 3 years after my father, my mother got a visa, and then I got a visa 4 years after my mother. My parents immigrated to New York City, and while I was still in Nigeria, had 2 of my sisters. So when I landed at John F. Kennedy Airport, I met my sisters, who were then 3 and 2 years old, for the very first time. I reached out my hand to them and said, Yinka. They looked at me, bowed, and said, Yinka to you too. I too experienced a culture shock when I first immigrated to this country from Nigeria as a young boy. I remember landing in New York and gazing in amazement when I saw Blue Eyes for the very first time. I remember eating a crunchy New York pizza for the first time, and I remember eating a hot dog and thinking how salty it was. I remember standing in my second grade cafeteria school lunch line and asking my American classmates what ravioli was. Indeed, coming to America was a real culture shock for me. And I also remember how special it felt being naturalized myself as a teenager. I remember how proud I was for my father at his naturalization ceremony. And again, the pride I felt in my mother when she was naturalized as a citizen. And just a few years ago, my wife was naturalized right here in St. Louis. And I remember how happy I was for her that day. Citizenship opens many doors to you that were previously closed. My naturalization was the key that opened many more opportunities for me. To attend the United States Military Academy at West Point, I had to be a U.S. citizen. Being able to attain a West Point education has, among other things, made many more doors accessible for me to knock on. And citizenship will open many doors to you as well. One of the more obvious and perhaps the most precious privileges of citizenship is the ability to fully participate in our democratic process and to register your individual vote. By your vote, you can help sway the course of this country at a local level here in St. Louis and this region, all the way up to the highest office in the land. As many of you know, your ability to vote freely, unimpeded, unhampered, and undenied is a precious privilege of citizenship in this country that unfortunately is not available to so many in many countries all over the world. Another door that will be open to you is the privilege of being called to serve on a jury. While some may see jury service as disruptive or time-consuming, many see it for what it really is. It's a privileged opportunity to participate in our justice system. Many countries around the world do not have a system that is based on the impartiality of a jury of one's peers. What an honor it is to be asked to serve in this capacity. Citizenship will open many other doors as well. But equally exciting to me is the doors that you, as new citizens, will open up to St. Louis, to this region, to this nation, and even to the world. It's no secret that we live in times of a global economy. Gone are the days where your economic actions affect your locality alone. Today, what you do here affects the nation. What affects this nation affects the world. So how will you in St. Louis and this region affect the world? Well, here's what statistics tell us. As reported by Forbes in 2018, published in a National Bureau of Economic Research working paper, immigrants founded 25% of all new U.S. businesses. Immigrants also file patents at twice the rate of U.S.-born citizens. The St. Louis Mosaic Project cites that foreign-born people in St. Louis are 29% more likely than native-born people to start a business. Now, here's what history tells us. Immigrant citizens have been part of so many significant advances in the history of this country. Madeleine Albright was born in Czechoslovakia. She's the first woman to become U.S. Secretary of State. She was nominated by then President Bill Clinton and confirmed by the Senate by a vote of 99-0. Eo Ming Pai, one of America's famous architects, was born in China. Among other things, he designed the John F. Kennedy Memorial Library in Boston and updated the Louvre in Paris. Akeem Olajuwon, born in my native country of Nigeria, led the NBA basketball team Houston Rockets to 2 back-to-back NBA championships, considered perhaps the most famous continental African to have played any sport on the American continent. Isabel Allende was born in Lima, Peru, one of the most popular novelists of our time. Her books have been translated into 27 languages. Some of her books include The House of the Spirits, Of Love and Shadows, and Aphrodite. And right here in St. Louis, Eero Saarinen, born in Finland, along with German-American Hans Carl Bandel in 1947, designed the beautiful Gateway Arch. So, no pressure at all. I'm just letting you know what the city, this region, and this nation expect great things from you. So, again, congratulations and welcome to the first day of the rest of your lives. Felicidades, gongsink, chukmong, tutno felicitaniot, mazel tov, pongse, and tahanina. If I missed your native country, I apologize. Those congratulations were the only ones that I thought I could say correctly, and I don't even think I said them all right. Before I get to my conclusion, I want to leave you with one charge. I've been blessed in this country to have had a great deal of many opportunities and to see and to do things that I never would have been able to see and to do but for being a citizen. Because of that, I've always felt that I could never quite give back to this country what it has given to me. I ask you to think about how you can give back to the city, to consider how you can give back to this region, and in so doing, give back to this nation, and by extension, to this world. I ask you to think about how you can volunteer your time, your talent, your treasure, to help make this city and this region a better place to live for all of those among us, particularly those who are less fortunate and others generally. And once you've thought about it, I ask you to kindly consider doing it. No matter where you stand on the issues, make your stance known and get involved. As a democracy works only when the people work for it. Democracy can be a fragile thing. Your engagement in our democratic process is what makes it strong. As I close, I thank you for allowing me this honor to spend time with you this morning and to share in your joy. I leave you with this. Now, many of you have heard the song, America the Beautiful, that was sung by the singers so beautifully earlier in this ceremony. But how many of you have heard the song simply called America? It's also known as My Country 'Tis of Thee. That song was written in 1832 by Reverend Samuel Smith. Now, it has 8 stanzas. Most people know just the first 2, maybe 3, but most people don't know the last 4 stanzas. I like these because they represent the standard that our country strives to attain. And I want to share them as I close this morning. And don't worry, I'm not going to sing. I'll just say the words. Our glorious land today, 'neath education's sway, soars upward still its hills of learning fair, whose bounties all may share. Behold them everywhere, on vale and hill. Thy safeguard liberty. The school shall ever be our nation's pride. No tyrant hand shall smite, while with encircling might, all here are taught the right with truth allied. Beneath heaven's gracious will, the stars of progress still our course do sway. In unity sublime, to broader heights we climb. Triumphant over time, God speeds our way. Grand birthright of our sires, our altars and our fires keep we still pure. Our starry flag unfurled, the hope of all the world, in peace and light impearled, God hold secure. Thank you again for this honor. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
May it please the court, on behalf of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, and in accordance with the Immigration and Nationality Act, it's my privilege to present for your consideration 300 petitioners for naturalization representing 69 countries. Each petitioner has shown to the satisfaction of the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security that they have resided within the United States during the period required by law, and that during such period, they have been and still are persons of good moral character, attached to the principles of the Constitution, and well disposed to the good order and happiness of the United States of America. It would be on the basis of our interviews and investigations, I move that you accept them to take the oath of allegiance and to grant them United States citizenship.
The motion is granted. You're in.
Let's make this official. All 300 petitioners, please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by law, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Now you're in. Congratulations.
My fellow Americans, On this most solemn and joyous occasion, may I, as a judge of this court, and therefore the representative of our government and its people, congratulate each of you. I would like to welcome you as citizens of the United States of America from one citizen to another. I am very honored to be able to address you today and to have witnessed the oath that you just took. I would like the opportunity to tell you some of the things that citizenship has meant to me and that I hope it will mean to you. I, unlike you, am a native-born citizen of the United States because my parents were citizens and I was born here. I was born here in St. Louis. Two of my grandparents, however, and all of my great-grandparents were not born in this country. Most of them were born in Lithuania, some of them were born in Romania, and a couple were born in Ukraine. And I can tell you that if they had not come to this country, most assuredly, I would not be here today, because pretty much every place they lived was destroyed during World War II. And the people in all the places where they lived were murdered. So if they had not had the fortitude to leave, I certainly wouldn't be here. You have all lived in this country for some time now, and all of you have gone through a great deal of work and study to achieve your citizenship. When you become a citizen, you gain rights and duties that you did not have when you were simply a legal resident of this country, including, of course, the right to vote. Ours is a government of the people, and your vote has the same weight as any other citizen. No one can take your vote from you, no one can tell you how to exercise it, and you don't need to tell anyone how you voted in any election. This right, to me, is one of the most important of your citizenship. You may run for office, and you may serve as a juror in a court case. And of course, as we heard from Mr. Folletti as well, jury service is a very important right and duty of all citizens. And we at the courthouse hope that if you are called for jury duty, you will willingly serve. We also have an educational center at our courthouse, and our Miss Marshall is the head of it, and I would encourage anybody to go and visit it. It's a remarkable installation. Although you have now renounced your allegiance to a foreign government and to any foreign kings, you have not, by doing so, renounced your heritage and the culture of your homeland. And I urge you not to discard that which is fine and good in the culture of the country from which you came, but to share it with your fellow citizens so that we may all learn from one another. Look around you so that you may see what the face of America looks like. We are different ages, different races. We have been in the country different lengths of time. We may have different native tongues, but we are all Americans. People often speak of the United States as a melting pot, but I have heard our country described differently, and I think more accurately. I like the idea of our country as a tapestry, woven of the best of all the different peoples and cultures that make up the United States. Each of us and each of us of our native cultures is but one thread of the tapestry, and it is never to be forgotten, but simply added to all the others to complete a beautiful picture. I hope that you will share the culture of your homeland with your native-born children and grandchildren, as well as with your neighbors and fellow citizens, so that we all may benefit from understanding one another and from learning the best of other cultures. The citizenship which has been conferred upon you is a reflection not of material possession, but of the highest aspirations of the human spirit, truth and freedom. When you took the oath of allegiance to the Constitution of the United States, you claimed for yourself the inalienable rights which that document sets forth as the natural rights of all persons. Being a good American does not depend upon whether one is foreign-born or native-born, but rather upon whether one lives the ideals of an American. While the privilege of citizenship carries with it the promise of precious opportunity, the fulfillment of your goals still rests with you. Citizenship does not promise us happiness, it promises us the pursuit of happiness. It does not promise us riches, but it promises us the equality of opportunity. It does not promise us wisdom, it promises us freedom of speech and the right to learn. It does not promise us peace, but it promises us... Okay, I've got to change this speech. Obviously, it doesn't promise us the right to speak English with a lot of... In any event, what I want to say is it is really important, and that is work for peace. We give you the opportunity to do that in this country. And work for all the things that the country offers you. We give you the liberty to do that. Congratulations and welcome to all of you.
If everyone will rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and let's see those flags, everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stay standing. The courthouse singers will lead us in the national anthem.
Lead us. Lead us. You know what that means? We sing, you sing. Here's your note.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. Please be seated. Thank you so much to the courthouse singers, and also thank you to Mr. Folletti for your inspiring words. And we really must say thank you to everyone at Harris-Stowe State University. They are wonderful hosts for letting us use this beautiful auditorium. We are going to ask that all of the new citizens remain seated. At this time, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services will come in and distribute your citizenship certificates. Please do not leave without your certificate. They will be doing it row by row. In just a second, I will turn it over to them. As you leave, as was mentioned earlier, the League of Women Voters will be in the lobby, and you can register to vote if you'd like to before you leave the building, and also stop by the informational table from the DEA. And thanks and congratulations.
All right. So we are going to hand out these certificates at the end of the rows. We're asking that friends and family please remain seated while we pass out the certificates, and this just makes it easier for everyone after, so it's not, a traffic jam on the way out. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 rows at a time, and then if you are going to want to take pictures, maybe up on the stage with the flag or somewhere up here, then after you get your certificate, you can come this direction. Again, friends and family, please stay seated. If you're not coming this direction, then we'll have you exit out the back doors that way, and then you'll meet up with friends and family out there. So we're going to do the first row. So row A, if we can have you stand, and then the third row, which is row C, if we can have you stand. And then we're going to go in order. So again, you're going to get it at the end of the row, and then you'll either go to the back doors or you can come up here.